And welcome everybody to episode 34 of the HOU.SEC.CON, the HOU.SEC.CON podcast. As usual, partner in crime, great friend, sometimes nemesis, Sam Van Ryder. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. And today, Michael, I think I'm not going to be your nemesis. So at least I'm not going to try to. But how are you doing, man?
I'm good. Just busy, man. But that's a good thing. It's a good busy. It's a lot going on. Well, who do we got? Who do we have speaking today for on our
podcast? So we have Mark Ayala with us, and Mark Ayala, who I've known for quite a while. But if you're in the Houston community, you've probably met him. If you're in the OT space, you probably know exactly who he is. Just this month, was basically got his ISA fellow status, which is amazing from all this work he's done for ISA. He also happens to be the president of the Houston InfraGard chapter, which, if you're not familiar with InfraGard, that's coordination between basically industry and the FBI. And the Houston area has the largest community for InfraGard here. So that's a lot of work with, a whole bunch of different what we used to call SIG, special interest groups, but cross-sector councils, they call them now. But yeah, Mark's with us and excited to have him talk. He's going to be our keynote for OT.SEC.CON this year to open it up and get us on the right path. So excited to talk a little bit more with him and what he's going to talk about and who is Mark.
Yep, very excited to have him on. Give him come out at OT.SEC.CON and keynote. It's going to be fantastic. So, all right, well, we will see you over there then. Let's get to it. And Sam, we are back and ready to talk to Marco.
Awesome. This is great. This is exciting. So you get to say it usually, but now I'm going to say it's our special guest, right? That we're very excited to have on the podcast today. So I've known Mark for a long, long time, and it's always fun to catch up with friends on the podcast. So,
yeah. So Mark, you're ISA fellow guest, ISA fellow, president of InfraGard Houston, and the main reason we've got you on here, outside of all that expertise that you've got, is that you're going to be a keynote at OT.SEC.CON this year. We're very excited to have you there.
It's actually a great pleasure to be keynoting for the event. I did miss the Prime event last year due to some unfortunate circumstances, but I'm happy to join this year and looking forward to it. I'm really excited about it. So thank you, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. We're glad to have you on there. And we don't have you under contract or anything, but you got to be there now. We've announced it officially now, so you have to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to miss it for the world. So
awesome. Well, we're glad to have you. Well, we will get into talking about everything about Mark and not everything about your talk, but a good teaser about your keynote for OT.SEC.CON. But before we get into that, as usual, Sam and I are going to talk about all things HOU.SEC.CON because this is the HOU.SEC cast. So first things first, Sam, your baby, we just talked about it. What's going on with OT.SEC.CON?
Well, we have tickets on sale, so go get your tickets. We are working through the selection process, and that will be posted here very shortly within the next week. And very excited for it. I mean, again, we'll sell out. There's no doubt. We did last year too, and it's just clear to me that we need to grow this. Like, we need to expand it. There's too many great talks being submitted, and we can't accommodate them all, and that stinks. So we're gonna have to do something more. But go get your ticket.
Yeah, go get that ticket. With all the talks coming in, I just kept seeing more and more and more, and I was like, oh my gosh, how are we? We're not gonna be able to fit all this stuff in here. It's crazy. So excited about that. So then the next one coming up, obviously, HOU.SEC.CON tickets are on sale for that. Agenda will also be out very soon, be out this month. So go look at that. We do have our keynotes. I think we just announced those on the LinkedIn and social media posts. So go look at those. I'm very excited about getting those out. But go look at that agenda. Sign up for HOU.SEC.CON, another one that's growing. We've got an advisory board that's helping us put together a really, really good agenda there. So excited about HOU.SEC.CON. Then HOU.SEC.CON user group. That one really worked. I guess it was like last week, we had Dr. Dustin Sachs out there, and we're going to have the next one on February 27th. Again, downtown Houston. It's always at the Neutrality Data Center. We got Joe Alapat, CSO and founder of LionGuard. Excited about his talk. If you want to submit a talk for that, we do a monthly. So, submit a talk and let's see if we can get you on board, register for those. And if you are interested in sponsoring them, let us know as well. You get 40, 50, 60 people in a room that are all kinds of IT people. It's a great user group, very exciting. So, and then Sam, I'll let you do the last thing on HOU.SEC.CON.
We're going to talk about tickets again because we sell tickets. So the HOU.SEC.CON tickets are for sale. Yeah. No, so the HOU.SEC.CON tickets are for sale. You can go get them now. Really, really important to note, everybody, we have a different model this year. We are raising the price as we get closer to the conference. And the reason is not to make it difficult for everybody, but more so to make it easier for us to be able to plan. So your tickets are going to be cheaper if you get them early, and then the prices are going to go up a little bit, in a couple different stages as we get closer to the conference. So good idea to go get your tickets now. Make sure you're locked in. They're not that expensive to begin with. So even if you can't get there, you need to give it to a buddy, that's fine too. But go get your ticket. Get it at the cheapest price possible early.
Please get it done. All right. That's it for our HOU.SEC.CON segment. Now let's jump into the news segment. So I'm actually pretty excited about this, Mark. You submitted this, but I like where this is going. So I won't spoil it. What is the article about? If you can kind of an article, it's an announcement, I guess.
It's both an article, an announcement. This is really hot off the press, coming from our state. So Governor Abbott just recently, within the last day, introduced Texas Cyber Command as a 89th legislative session for the state, his state of address. And it's pretty exciting because it covers a lot of topics that are near and dear to our heart, but it comes down to actually having a true Texas Cyber Command. So this is actually coming from the governor, and it really is building out for a stronger Texas. Hopefully you put a post or a link to the discussion, but some key pieces there is that it's definitely important to note that for those that are listening, Texas is huge, right? We have the 8th largest economy, number one in oil and gas. I mean, there's a lot of bits and pieces to this, and we're obviously a target. And especially coming from the InfraGard side, one of the important pieces is trying to make sure that we're securing not only our critical infrastructure, but all the different sectors that comprise our area and our state. So it's really good to see this effort coming from the governor that's going to actually expand the bounds. I think they're going to call on the University of Texas San Antonio, but also build out across other federal agencies here, as well as other universities. And a lot of the things that are covered is not only awareness and training and all the things that you should be doing, but also threat intelligence as well. So there's a lot of pieces to it, and I'm really excited about it. I was really excited to actually see the governor actually talk this out in his State of the State address. So a lot of great things going there. I foresee that, especially for our state, there's going to be a lot of work involved. So I see this as a plus for our area. For folks that are on the asset owner side, for the integrator side, for the consulting side, and for the technology side. So the technology stacks for both IT and OT or control systems. Obviously, these are going to be key aspects. A couple of things to note, though, in his address was the fact that hospitals are still being targeted. Here recently, he talked about one that was targeted, and also other state government entities that have also been recently targeted. And I do know that there was a TLP Amber that I can't really get into, but that talks about a lot of these things at greater length. And I can tell you these things are daily, day in and day out. So I think this is good. I think this is a good effort to where we can increase our awareness, but also collaborate and even tie into our regional security operations centers and SOCs.
Yeah, I'm excited about this as well. Anytime we start getting some infrastructure like this in place, and probably a lot of people don't know this if you're not in Texas, that the legislature and everything doesn't meet that often. You have to do a lot of special calls to bring people in to get anything passed. And it's designed that way for a reason. Texas is not, a really big government type of a state. So anything that they put in place like this, my first question, not to be a Debbie Downer or doubter on it, is just how is this going to keep up with the times? So hopefully they've got some good, and I don't know all the details yet. Obviously this is brand new, but hopefully they got some really good infrastructure in place where this can grow and flex as it needs to without getting ridiculous. Also, I learned from this announcement, I thought Port of Houston was bigger than Port Laredo. I didn't realize that Port Laredo was so massive and the number one international trade port in the United States. I really didn't know that. I thought it was Port of Houston. So I learned something really big, but that tells you Port of Houston is still massive. So Port Laredo is even bigger from a trade perspective. And then you talked about the hospitals. I mean, I've worked in and out of the medical center in different leadership roles in healthcare over the years, and from a security perspective and IT perspective. And yeah, it's not just patient type stuff here. These are all research hospitals. There's a massive amount of research data in these hospitals that people can get a hold of and cause problems with as well. So I'm really excited to see this get put in place.
Yeah, in a worst case scenario, even if nothing else comes of it, the fact that it's being socialized with everybody and the general public gets awareness of it, because oftentimes just when I meet new folks and they aren't in the space, they really don't understand it or know really how it impacts. But now it'd be good to know that my neighbors understand actually why it's so important, right? And that's a good thing that comes from this at the very bare minimum, right?
Agreed.
One of the key things too is that our Texas State Guard as well has got some really good cyber folks within that regiment. When I gave the Cyber Shield training to the National Guard, the Texas National Guard was really top tier alongside Louisiana and many of the National Guards from different states. But I think that this is a great opportunity to bridge that gap and allow not only the InfraGard program, but many of the other programs for the state to get involved and participate in protecting and building a stronger Texas. So I'm excited.
Very good stuff. All right. Well, Mark, thanks for bringing that up. That's a great announcement, great news. Look forward to seeing what happens there. All right. Well, now we will jump on a quick commercial break. And as soon as we are done there, we will get back and talk all things Mark, give a little teaser on what he's going to be talking about at OT.SEC.CON, and then wrap this bad boy up. So see you on the other side.
And we're back. And so I hope you enjoyed that little tidbit of music and are ready to talk to our very special guest, or listen to, rather. You can't talk to him because you're listening, maybe in Houston traffic or wherever you may be. Excited to have Mark Ayala on the call. Welcome, Mark. Welcome back, or welcome here. Welcome back from the break. Hope you had a drink of water or something. You're drinking Monster. That's right. You're drinking Monster. I forgot about that.
Monster and water. Yeah.
Topo Chico. You're known for the Topo Chico, right? So
I have not had my Topo Chico today, but it's definitely on my my drinking list for the evening.
There you go.
It's definitely a pleasure to be here, Sam and Michael, and thanks for having me.
Yeah. So can you give us tell us the Mark story? Like, how did you get into cyber? Like how did you get where you are today? Tell us how you got here.
Oh, well, I didn't start out in cyber. I didn't start out in information technology as well. I actually started out in electronics in school, in high school, and then went to college for electronics, and then worked at a large electronics distributor. So not like your hi-fis and stereos electronics, but actually power equipment, power electronics. SSR, solid state relays, semiconductors, large stuff, and this was in Texas City, and it supplied a lot of the local plants, like the Sterling Chemicals at the time, Amoco, which then turned into BP, and Marathon and what have you. So I actually started out on the electronics side, and it was sometime afterwards where I got really further into instrumentation. So when you're telling the folks at the plant how to actually wire up relays, uh, and it's like, well, I should just go out there and do your job or help you do your job. If you're wanting me to build out your schematics, I might as well wire it up for you as well. And that was a joke at the time, but so I did some more schooling, but I took a job with Tri-Gas Air Separation, and that's where I really got into the asset owner side. So started out with argon, oxygen, and nitrogen, and then had an opportunity to go to the chemical side. So I worked for a large chemical company here in Houston, again as an asset owner. Started out in instrumentation, and through years of instrumentation, moved into controls, automation, safety systems, and process historians. And that's where I actually got introduced into cyber. And it was not by choice; it was actually by incident. And as you know, those are kind of the aha moments where you're like, so where's our blinders? Where's our blind spot? So this is post Y2K, right at the cusp of Y2K, and obviously this was a key factor in my development was having to work with enterprise IT. And just to give you an example of that, the conversation is hey, we can't get to our process historians across our sites, and so or at the site here in Houston, and we're working with enterprise IT, and we said, well, who are these machines that are connected to our process historian? I was like, well, they are they are legitimate machines and nodes in our enterprise, but we don't know who's on the other side of the keyboard. We don't know why they're connected. And so this was really at the early age where we didn't have the true segmentation. And so some things and outputs of that was making sure that we started to deploy out technology and kit to separate the process control arena from operations. And believe it or not, that was kind of the steady state at the time, right at that 2000 stage, was that there wasn't a lot of segmentation. Even I talked to folks today in the oil and gas industry that are still dealing with levels of segmentation and issues there. But that's how I got started was on the cyber front. But one thing is I've always stayed true to my initial instrumentation, automation, control, and safety. So even as I moved over and did some security projects and work as an asset owner, I was still staying involved in deploying out automation control for a lot of the projects that we were doing, not at the site, but at other sites and facilities. And that was kind of where I started. So
Good background.
yeah, yeah,
And not, I'll say it's funny, one of the common threads, not predominantly, but it's not uncommon to hear, I got into it because of an incident response, because of an
yeah,
event, right?
right.
And an oh crap moment. So yeah.
Yeah. And this was well before we coined the term operational technology. So it was still industrial control systems. And I I will say that my first ICS cert or industrial control systems security training that I took was at an intermediate class that was provided by ICS cert, and that was in 2006. I eventually did the 5 day or red team, blue team at Idaho National Labs in 2009, which was sponsored by the chemical sector for Department of Homeland Security, well before even CISA was stood up. So uh, I've been focused around securing the chemical processes for some time, but one of the other things that really drove my deeper commitment into cybersecurity was CFATS, the Chemical Facility Anti-Terrorism stuff that really came to fruition in 2008, but the discussions and what have you had started in late 2007 before it became regulatory. So there was Risk-Based Performance Standard 8, which talked about cyber, which if you got to see the original document. It covered everything, right? Everything from a PBX. I don't even think people call them PBXs anymore, but
No.
from PBX to control system to if it's on a network. And so, having worked for a large Dutch chemical company here in the U.S., the local corporate headquarters for the Dutch company was in Chicago. And so, the head person that handled security from a government perspective for the company found out that I was doing stuff already, securing the systems, and starting to deploy out kit, not only in the U.S., but also in Europe. Said, "Hey, this is good timing. Let's get you involved in this and ramp you up to speed." So that was right around that 2008 time frame, from an early adopter to where we're at now with technology.
And not all too long ago, I remember that program expired. Did they ever end up
No,
reinstating it? No.
no, but there was talks of CFAT's version like 2.0. And so even the TWIC program, for example, as well as there's discussions about having the Coast Guard pick up TWIC and do some things as opposed to TSA. And so there's a lot of things going on, and it's possible the new administration might come up with a new plan or to bring in, because it's definitely a blind spot. Our chemical facilities and our chemicals of interest in the U.S. It's not like the threats to those have stopped overnight. If anything, they probably increased here in the last 4 to 6 years. So I think it's a blind spot. We need to get ahead of it. And I do think that there's going to be there should be regulatory around securing these systems. There have been some other things that have been unfortunate. A lot of the sites that have actually put in data to the government, provided to the government, some of those systems have been breached, and so a lot of that critical infrastructure information may be in the hands of our adversaries. I don't know that for fact, but
Mm.
the other part of it too is we want to be secure, and we want to be able to work with our federal partners, but also we want them to make sure that they have secure systems and not just try to mandate that on the asset owner operators. So it's kind of one of those, hey, tell us what you know, but also secure your systems before we hand over our security documents. Imagine your site security plans and how you do incident response could be leaked. And so hopefully there's some reform around that and some transparency and openness. But CFATS right now is tabled. It's been tabled for some time now. I know some of the folks at DHS that have been really pushing to get it released, and even the industry organizations and even the asset owners in the chemical space want it revitalized. So it's very unique to be able to have folks at the asset owner side say, "Hey, bring us back regulation," because regulation is a cost burden and what have you. But when there's a need for it, it should be done. So,
Interesting.
really important piece of that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that rundown, Mark. We appreciate it. We do want to spend some time, though, at least teasing. We don't want to give the whole talk, but we do want to give you some time to tease what you're going to be talking about on the keynote at OT.SEC.CON. Again, we're honored to have you come out and give that keynote. I'm really excited about that. So why don't you tell the folks, get them excited about coming to see
Yeah.
you talk.
Yeah. So one of the things that has been on my mind for some time, and I recently did a talk, and there's a talk on YouTube that I gave in Singapore at the OT CEP, which is the Operational Technology Cyber Expert Panel. I also gave a talk at S4 last year on normalization of deviance. So the actual keynote is going to be not specifically on deviance, but some other aspects that are very important for our industry, especially with new technologies like AI and machine learning and all the things that we're allowing into our control system space. So my talk is really going to be talking about loss of rigor around how are we vetting the systems and the equipment. So I'm going to be talking about things that are here today, what we're going to be doing in the future, and really trying to make sure that we're not losing something. And I'm also trying to get folks excited about getting back into the standards discussion and joining a standards body like ISA 99, the 62443 standards, regardless of what standards that you're on, but really pushing the envelope and pushing back on technology before we start vetting it. One of the key things that I'm very passionate about is that safety is paramount, right? I always say safety is number one, production is 1.1. If we didn't have production, we didn't have safe production, then we wouldn't be in operation, and many of our facilities and our non-essentials would be going home. So some key aspects of that is that standards have usually been late to the party. It's like we say, hey, this is great. Let's add this widget. It's really cool. 7 years later, 10 years later, a standard comes out and says, yeah, that's really good. You can put that into your environment. Where we should be looking at this saying, hey, before you put this out there, we should start talking about this in our standards now to determine, does this give us loss of rigor? Is this a blind spot? And can this be our Achilles heel later? So pieces of this, I'm just dropping some nuggets, are going to talk about a journey from that. It's going to bring in some discussions around the Challenger incident, or that we just recently had the 39th year anniversary of that. So that normalization of deviance from process, and talk about standards. But how can we get better in the future, right? That's the key thing. So I'm excited. I'm very excited and very honored, Sam and Michael, to be keynoting for this. I'm going to bring some pictures of my own to the event, and talk through some of the technologies that I was fortunate enough to work with, and really just hone in on with the audience on where do we go from here. So that's it.
I'm excited about that. I really am. That when Sam was talking about asking you to be the keynote, I mean, obviously Sam knows you a lot better than I do. Has spent time with you, but from the background that I've seen with you and what you've discussed here, it's rare to get folks that actually have the real ground game expertise. There's not rare. There's a lot of people out there. It's a rare combination to have somebody who can do all of those things and speak about it eloquently and give people the knowledge that they what they need. I think everybody's going to really benefit from you coming out and talking at the conference, and giving them some of that. Hey, what are we doing here? Because we've had that conversation multiple times on here. Sam and I have with different people. It's like you can't approach this stuff and just stick stuff in the environment. And we literally talk about the safety conversation. I joke around and tell Sam this is turning into a OT focused podcast, but I mean, we are where we are, and this is an extremely important part of Houston and the world. I mean, it's massive. So I'm excited to have you come out and give some of those well-learned lessons. So.
Absolutely, and it's really important. It really is important. And here's the thing: I'm not getting any younger, and I know you both aren't.
We've
either,
all got a little gray right here, Mark.
But I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for the mentors that I had in my life. I'm not a self-made person. I had some of the best in industry teach me automation, instrumentation, automation, and safety systems, and giving back as well, mentoring some of the young folks, hopefully that will be there, or new to industry, maybe not young, but new to security and the systems that we're trying to secure, to be able to ask the questions. Because if they're not already in a leadership role, they will be at some point in their career, and to be able to ask the right questions and refer back to things that they should be asking about. So I'm really excited about it. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Mark, thank you for going through everything and talking about your presentation. Any final thoughts?
Just thanks for having me, folks. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to OT.SEC.CON. It's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be a full house. There's going to be a lot of other great talks, and just excited. So, and reach out, come up, talk to me. I would love to be able to work with you and discuss some of the options and opportunities that are out there to learn as well. So just excited. Thank
I
you.
agree. Take advantage of it.
Take advantage. That's it.
Sam?
Hey, if you obviously if you're listening to it, you already get the gist of it. But if you're looking at this, you just make sure you're paying attention to Mark's background, and you see the DIN rail with all the cool gear back there, and might be a fluke detector or whatever on there. I see the hard hat. Yeah, so obviously more than street cred right here, but yeah, looking forward to it. And I think you know what Mark said. I think that resonates. Is we got to build the next wave of folks to do this. Like none of us are. We're. I don't plan to be working when I'm 70. I don't know about you, but you know, this is we've got to have the new ones. And based on what I'm seeing, the folks that are buying tickets to OT.SEC.CON right now, I think we have a pipeline of really good ones. Not and pun intended. There's a lot of great names and owner operators that are coming. So
That's awesome.
get your
That's
ticket.
what
Let's go.
counts. That's what counts. That's awesome. Great stuff. Great
Agreed.
stuff. Well,
All right.
thank you.
Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. Mark, again, thank you for joining us. We're going to sign off on episode 34, and we will see you next time on episode 35, where we'll talk more good IT, OT, maybe a mix. We'll see. See you next time.